Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to go after that Tom Scholz Boston kind of tone. And in approaching this, I'm kind of coming at it from two different directions. One, obviously, is to think about the sounds on the Boston albums kind of through the years and that overall tone. Some of the trouble there is, he was such a master in the studio and there's so many layers of guitars. Sometimes it's hard to isolate out what is the actual single guitar tone that's there, because there's so many layers of not only multi-tracking electric guitars, but having acoustics and things like that. So to kind of come at it from a different direction, I'm also thinking about kind of the tones you get out of the Scholz Rockman. And I had one of the small soloists when I was younger, and so I'm pretty familiar with how the tone is. And so I kind of also use that as a guide for this. And one of the things that guided was how I set up the scenes. So the soloist, to my memory, it had three channels. There was a clean, like an edge, and then a distortion sound. And I've got those represented by clean, rhythm, and lead. And then it had a chorusing effect that you could turn on and off. And so what I've set up is I've got 6 scenes. We've got our 3 kind of levels of gain, clean, rhythm, and lead. And then we have each of those with a chorus on. And so that's what we're going to go after today. And so when we dive into the preset, there's 2 things that we've added outside of the amps and whatnot that really kind of, to my mind, make the tone. The first is, and most importantly, is this EQ. And Tom Scholz, to my understanding, obviously he's using studio gear and EQ there, but he was also known to use the MXR EQ pedal. And that one had EQ ranges of 200, 400, 800, 1600, and 3200 hertz. And so we're going to use that as our guide for our parametric EQ here. And you can see it's a very kind of pointed mid-range here. So we're pulling back the 200 a little bit. We're pushing a little bit of 4s. We're pushing the 8s a lot. We're pushing the 1600 a little bit. The 3200 is about flat. And then all I've done here is I've added a low pass at the end at 6400 just to kind of roll off the top end. And so that's pretty key in terms of getting this Boston sound. The other thing I did is I've got a dual delay running after the amps. And this is something I came up with when I was trying to create that kind of Guthrie Govan doubling tone when I was doing his tone. And I thought it would play here as well in terms of kind of mimicking kind of that doubling sense of the guitar tones. And so what we're doing is we've got the mix about halfway. We've got 2 delays with very short time, so 12 milliseconds and 24 milliseconds. And then the feedback's at 0, so we're only getting a single delay. And then I've got a little bit of modulation on the back end just to, again, to give it that doubling tone. So let's go ahead and kind of dive into what these are doing, and then we'll get into the amps and whatnot. So for this, let's go ahead and use the rhythm tone. And for the rhythm tone, we're running a Plexi 100 bright. I've got the gain dial back to about 2.5, bass is pulled back, mid pushed, treble pushed a little bit, presence pulled back. And we're running that through a Marshall Silver B cabinet. And then everything is going through a hall reverb on the end just for some ambience. So let's go ahead and check out what the EQ is doing. So let's go ahead and turn this off. We'll also turn off the dual delay. So for this video, I'm using my PRS SE Pulse guitar. Tom Scholz usually played Les Pauls, as far as I know. I don't have any Les Pauls or any Les Paul style guitars on hand right now, so this is the closest thing I got. So let's go ahead and check out the rhythm just with the amp. So just kind of a nice basic Marshall rhythm tone. So then if we go to the parametric EQ, when we turn that on, you can hear it's pushing those mid frequencies. We're already kind of getting into that Boston tone a little bit. And then for the dual delay, again, here's our without it. When we turn it on, you can hear it just fills it in. It makes it sound like a little more of that kind of wall of guitars tone that Tom Scholz gets on the Boston records. To me, those are both key critical parts of this preset to getting that kind of Tom Scholz sound, especially that EQ on the front. So let's go back to the clean. So for the clean, the Rockman clean tone is kind of that kind of pure clean 80s compressed kind of tone. And so for amp, what I did is I went with the Roland Jazz, again, just kind of pure clean as I could get. I'm running that through the Roland 2x12. And then on the front end, we've got our compressor. And I'm using an optocomp here to get more of kind of a studio compression kind of effect. And if we play that, it sounds like this. So a nice pure clean tone. And then the key thing there is to add in the chorusing effect. And so let's go ahead and look at the chorus. So for the chorus, I'm using the chorus engine. For the clean tone, I've got the mix pretty high, and I've got the tone pushed a little bit. And you can see both these are set to be scene specific. The rate's at about 1 hertz, and I've got the delay at about 15 milliseconds. Depth is not too deep. And then the width is at 100%. So again, here's our clean tone without the chorus. And here it is with the chorus. So I think it's really doing a good job of kind of getting that kind of real chorusy, pure clean that you get from Boston. It really even sounds good on the bridge. Like I said, for the rhythm tone, we've got that plexi bright. When we add in the chorus, you're starting to get that kind of rhythmic sound that's more from, say, third stage. I wouldn't turn the chorus on if I was trying to do something like Peace of Mind. I would probably play without the chorus, but the chorus is kind of that nice, kind of more third stage and walk-on kind of albums. And then for the lead, we're using the same plexi bright. You can see I pegged the gain up to 10. I pulled the bass back even further and added a little more treble and presence just to give a little more cut. And then the other thing I added for the lead is a digital delay on the back end with the delay around 500 milliseconds and the feedback at about 20%, just to give a little bit of more ambience to the lead. And so there you've got this without the chorus. And then when you add the chorus, you can even use that as kind of a heavy rhythm tone. So that is my Tom Scholz Rockman kind of Boston preset. Just like all my other presets, it'll be my Cortex Cloud account. The link for that is in the description. Feel free to grab it, play around. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.